You picked the wrong black woman to harass today. General Victoria Taylor's voice remains steady as Officer Harris twists her arm behind her back. Metal cuffs snap around her wrists, too tight, drawing blood. Talking back to an officer? Captain Wilson looms over her. That's how people like you end up with problems. Taylor memorizes his badge number, his name tag, the mole above his left eyebrow. Check her for weapons, Wilson commands. Harris jabs her ribs during the search, finds her wallet, keys, phone. He tosses them into an evidence bag. Something funny? Wilson demands when he notices her calm expression. Taylor says nothing. They miss the military-grade communicator hidden in her jacket lining. Get her in the car, Wilson barks. A night in holding should fix that attitude. They shove her head down, forcing her into the cruiser. They have no idea who they've just arrested. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The processing room smells of sweat and cleaning chemicals. Taylor stands perfectly still for her mugshot. The camera clicks. Name? The booking officer doesn't look up from his computer. Victoria Taylor. Address? She provides her Maple Avenue address. The officer pauses, eyes narrowing. That's in Westfield Heights. His tone changes, recognizing the predominantly black neighborhood. Taylor presses her thumb against the fingerprint scanner. Black ink stains her skin. Behind her, Officers Wilson and Harris laugh by the water cooler. Another one from that neighborhood thinking she's special, Harris says, voice carrying deliberately. Acting like the checkpoint doesn't apply to her. Had to put her in her place, Wilson replies. These people need to learn. Taylor memorizes every word, every inflection, every face watching her processing. Phone call? She asks the booking officer. He points to the wall phone. One call. Make it count. Taylor dials a number from memory. Not her lawyer, not family. Operations Center Pentagon, answers a crisp voice. Authorization code Tango Delta 794, Taylor speaks clearly. Initiating protocol oversight Delta. Location transmitting. A moment of silence. Confirmed, General Taylor. Response team deploying. Timeline, 43 minutes. Taylor hangs up as Councilman Edward Bennett storms into the station. His expensive suit and championship ring gleam under the harsh lights. Another troublemaker? Bennett demands, looking through the glass at Taylor. Wilson nods. Just processing her now, sir. Good, Bennett says. These checkpoint resistors need consequences. The program is too important. Taylor is escorted to a holding cell. The door clangs shut. She sits on the metal bench, back straight, face composed. The clock on the wall reads 9:17 p.m. In exactly 43 minutes, everything will change. 2 hours earlier, sunset paints the sky orange over Westfield Heights. General Victoria Taylor drives her modest sedan through familiar streets. The neighborhood transitions from predominantly black to the wealthier, whiter suburbs of Greenfield. Blue lights flash ahead. Police cruisers block the road. A checkpoint. Taylor slows, window already rolling down. She's done nothing wrong. This should take seconds. Officer Harris approaches, flashlight beam sweeping across her face. License and registration. Taylor reaches slowly for her glove compartment. May I ask what this checkpoint is for, officer? Harris stiffens. Just routine. ID now. She hands over her driver's license. Harris studies it, flashlight lingering on her address. Westfield Heights resident, he says into his radio, requesting additional verification. Taylor notices his emphasis on her neighborhood. Is there a problem with my identification, officer? Wait here. Harris walks back to the cruiser, license in hand. Taylor watches through her rearview mirror. Harris shows her license to another officer. They both look at her car, laughing. Captain Wilson emerges from the command vehicle. Harris points at Taylor's car. Wilson nods, approaching with deliberate slowness. Step out of the vehicle, ma'am. His tone carries no respect with the formality. May I ask why? My license is valid. Step out now. Wilson's hand rests on his holster. We're implementing enhanced search protocol. Taylor knows her rights. Enhanced search requires reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. What's your suspicion, Captain? Wilson's face hardens. Out of the car. Taylor complies, movements deliberate. I'd like to note that this appears to be selective enforcement. We decide what's selective, Wilson says. Hands on the hood. I decline consent to search my vehicle without probable cause, Taylor states calmly. Terry v. Ohio and Delaware v. Prowse establish clear guidelines for... Look at the lawyer here, Harris mocks, moving closer. Thinks she knows the law. Taylor stands her ground. I'm familiar with my Fourth Amendment rights. Wilson steps closer. Your kind always want to make things difficult. My kind? Taylor raises an eyebrow. Troublemakers, Wilson clarifies, but his meaning hangs transparent in the air. Other drivers watch from their cars, some record with phones. Wilson notices, gesturing to another officer. Clear these vehicles through, no recordings. Taylor observes Officer Davis approaching cars, making people put phones away. She commits each face to memory, each badge number, each license plate. Last chance, Wilson says. Consent to search or face obstruction charges. I respectfully decline and request a supervisor, Taylor says. Her voice remains steady, professional. I am the supervisor. Wilson signals to Harris. Detain her. Harris grabs Taylor's arm, twisting it behind her back. The pain shoots through her shoulder. Stop resisting, Harris shouts, though she isn't resisting. I'm not resisting, Taylor says clearly, aware of creating an audio record. I'm complying under protest. Wilson steps closer. You don't tell us how to do our jobs. Taylor notices Harris's body camera. The red recording light blinks off. Your body camera appears to be malfunctioning, Officer Harris, she notes. Mind your own business. Harris tightens his grip. Taylor's military training kicks in. She could disable both officers in seconds. But that's not why she's here. Not tonight's mission. I'll be filing a formal complaint, she says instead. Wilson laughs. Good luck with that. Councilman Bennett personally oversees checkpoint operations. Your complaint goes straight to his trash can. Taylor's watch presses against her wrist. The military-grade device captures every word, every admission. Evidence gathering continues. Search the car, Wilson orders another officer. Sir, without a warrant, Taylor begins. We have checkpoint authority under City Ordinance 27-9, Wilson interrupts. Signed by the council last month. Taylor knows the ordinance, knows its constitutional flaws, knows exactly who pushed it through. Find anything? Wilson calls to the officer searching her car. Clean, sir. Wilson seems disappointed. Check under the seats. These Westfield people always hiding something. Taylor's fingers discreetly press a button on her watch. The GPS tracker activates. Pentagon systems now monitor her location in real time. Nothing, sir, the officer reports. Wilson turns back to Taylor. Well, you're still interfering with a lawful checkpoint. That's obstruction. Citing constitutional protections is not obstruction, Taylor counters. And now arguing with an officer. Wilson nods to Harris. Cuff her. The metal cuffs bite into her wrists. Harris secures them too tight deliberately. Victoria Taylor, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice and resisting a lawful checkpoint inspection, Wilson recites, satisfaction in his voice. Taylor notices a young woman in a nearby car recording discreetly. Their eyes meet briefly. Taylor gives an imperceptible nod. You have the right to remain silent, Wilson continues. I'm aware of my Miranda rights, Captain, Taylor interrupts. I assume you're transporting me to the Greenfield station? Wilson pauses, thrown by her composure. That's right. I'll need my phone call when we arrive. You'll get what we decide to give you, Harris says, shoving her toward the cruiser. As they lead her away, Taylor glances at the checkpoint. Officer Davis turns away another Westfield Heights resident for additional screening. 3 cars with white drivers pass through without stopping. Pattern established. Evidence accumulating. Harris pushes her head down, forcing her into the back seat. Officer Harris, badge number 4572. That use of force is unnecessary and excessive, Taylor states for her watch's recording. Shut up, Harris snaps, slamming the door. Through the window, Taylor watches Wilson speaking with another officer. He gestures toward Westfield Heights, laughs. The cruiser pulls away from the checkpoint. Taylor sits calmly in the back, mentally reviewing the Pentagon protocol she's just activated. The situation is proceeding exactly as anticipated. The interrogation room at Greenfield Station smells of stale coffee and floor cleaner. A single overhead light casts harsh shadows. The metal table is bolted to the floor. Taylor sits straight-backed in the uncomfortable chair. Her handcuffs remain tight. 2 hours have passed since her arrest. The door opens. Captain Wilson enters, carrying a thin folder and Taylor's confiscated belongings. He drops them on the table. Comfortable? His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Taylor doesn't respond. The less she says, the more they reveal. Wilson opens the folder. Victoria Taylor, Westfield Heights address. No priors. He looks up. First time being educated about checkpoint compliance? I'd like to speak with an attorney. Soon enough. Wilson circles the table. We're just having a conversation first. I invoke my right to counsel. Taylor's voice remains level, precise. Wilson ignores her. See, we have a problem in this town. People who don't respect authority. People who think rules don't apply to them. He leans against the wall, studying her. Checkpoints keep Greenfield safe. Some folks don't like being checked. Those folks usually have something to hide. Taylor remains silent. Her military training included resistance to interrogation techniques. Wilson's amateur intimidation tactics wouldn't break a first-year cadet. Nothing to say? Wilson flips through her wallet. Interesting ID you've got here. He pulls out her military ID, studies it, snorts. Marine Corps General, 4 stars? He tosses it on the table. Nice fake, adding impersonating military personnel to your charges. Taylor watches him carefully. That identification is authentic. Right, Wilson laughs. And I'm the Secretary of Defense. His phone buzzes. He checks the screen, nods slightly. Our concerned citizen is here, Wilson says, moving to the door. Someone wants to meet the latest checkpoint troublemaker. Taylor's photographic memory catalogs every procedural violation, every failed Miranda compliance, every civil rights infringement. Wilson leaves. Through the thin walls, Taylor hears a new voice. Authoritative. Impatient. Another one from that neighborhood? The voice must belong to Councilman Bennett. Yes, sir, Wilson responds. Gave us the usual constitutional speech. Had a fake military ID, too. Military? Bennett sounds interested. What branch? Marines. Claims to be a general. Wilson's laugh carries through the wall. Get what you need and process her, Bennett says. Make an example. These checkpoint resistors are undermining the whole program. Taylor notices the one-way glass, feels Bennett watching from the other side. The door opens again. Wilson returns with Officer Harris. Let's try again. Wilson slaps a form on the table. Sign this confession to obstruction, take a misdemeanor charge, and you'll be out by morning. Taylor studies the document without touching it. I'll need my attorney present before signing anything. Harris steps forward. Captain asked you nicely. And I respectfully declined, Taylor replies. Wilson nods to Harris, who moves behind Taylor's chair, his presence meant to intimidate. You people from Westfield Heights think you're special, Wilson says. Think the rules don't apply. But Councilman Bennett's checkpoint program has cut crime in Greenfield by 30%. By targeting specific neighborhoods? Taylor asks. Wilson's expression hardens. By enforcing the law where it needs enforcing. Selective enforcement isn't legal enforcement, Taylor says. Harris places heavy hands on her shoulders. You should listen to the captain. Taylor doesn't react to the physical intimidation. I believe this interview is over until my counsel arrives. Wilson collects her belongings, intentionally dropping her military ID on the floor. He steps on it as he walks around the table. This little military costume doesn't impress me, he sneers, picking up the ID. Though I admire the attention to detail. 4 stars. Ambitious fake. He tosses the ID back on the table. Harris increases pressure on Taylor's shoulders. We've got all night, Wilson says. Plenty of time for you to reconsider that signature. A sharp knock interrupts. The door opens immediately. Detective David Morales stands in the doorway. His expression shifts from professional to confused as he takes in the scene. Captain, Morales says carefully. A moment outside? Wilson hesitates, then nods to Harris. Watch her. The door closes behind them. Through the wall, Taylor hears urgent whispers. The conversation grows heated. Someone knocks urgently on the interrogation room door. The door opens. Detective Morales enters, followed by a visibly agitated Captain Wilson. Morales, mid-30s with observant eyes, carries himself differently than the other officers. His badge hangs from a chain around his neck. His suit, while department issue, fits properly. Officer Harris, you're needed at the front desk, Morales says. Harris looks to Wilson, who nods reluctantly. Harris leaves, closing the door firmly behind him. Morales approaches the table. He picks up Taylor's military ID, examining it closely. Captain, this ID has proper security features, Morales says. The holographic seal, microprinting, UV watermarks, all authentic military issue. Wilson scoffs. It's a good fake. No, sir. Morales places the ID gently on the table. I served before joining the department. This is genuine. Wilson's confidence wavers momentarily. So she stole a military ID, add it to the charges. Taylor watches the dynamic between them. Morales represents something rare integrity within a corrupted system. Ma'am, Morales addresses Taylor directly. May I ask your name and rank? General Victoria Taylor, United States Marine Corps. Morales straightens instinctively. Military bearing doesn't fade with time. And what brings you to Greenfield, General? Morales asks. Before Taylor can answer, Wilson interrupts. Detective, she's being processed for obstruction and checkpoint evasion. Her occupation is irrelevant. Sir, if she's active military, we have jurisdictional protocols to follow, Morales counters. Wilson steps closer to Morales. I'm handling this case. Captain, department policy requires verification of military credentials, Morales persists. Section 14 of our procedural manual specifically states, I know the manual, Wilson snaps. Then you know we're already in violation of proper procedure. Morales doesn't back down. No attorney present despite request. Continued questioning after rights invocation. Extended detention without processing. Wilson's jaw tightens. Detective, remember your place. My place is ensuring department procedures are followed, Morales replies evenly. He turns back to Taylor's ID, examining the rank insignia. His eyes widen. Sir, Morales whispers, these are 4 stars. So? 4 stars is the highest rank in the Marine Corps. Morales looks at Taylor with new understanding. There are only a handful in the entire military. Wilson's confidence cracks further. It's still a fake. The interrogation room door swings open. Councilman Bennett enters without knocking. His tailored suit and signet ring project authority and wealth. "Captain, what's the delay?" Bennett demands. "I thought this was routine processing." His eyes fall on Taylor. He assesses her with practiced political calculation. "Councilman Bennett," Morales says, "we have a situation. This woman appears to be a high-ranking military officer." Bennett scoffs. "Based on what?" "Military identification consistent with a Marine Corps general," Morales explains. "We need to verify through proper channels before proceeding." "Detective, isn't it?" Bennett checks Morales' nameplate. "Your concern for procedure is noted. Now let the captain handle this." Morales stands his ground. "Sir, with respect, if we've detained a military general improperly, the department faces serious repercussions. If," Bennett emphasizes, "a remarkably big if." He turns to Wilson. "Captain, handle the paperwork and process her. Detective Morales, you're needed elsewhere." "Sir," Morales protests, "standard protocol requires—" "Standard protocol is what I say it is," Bennett interrupts. "The checkpoint program operates under special city ordinance, my ordinance." Taylor watches Morales carefully. She sees the moment his professional ethics confront political reality. "Councilman," Morales says carefully, "may I at least verify her identity through military channels? A simple phone call." Bennett studies Morales. "You're new to Greenfield, aren't you, Detective?" "Transferred 6 months ago, sir." "Then let me explain how things work here." Bennett steps closer. "The checkpoint program is essential to Greenfield's safety and property values. Occasional complaints are expected. They're handled quietly and quickly." "By violating rights?" Morales asks. Bennett's smile turns cold. "By maintaining order. Don't overthink your role, Detective." The phone on the wall suddenly rings. All three turn toward it. Wilson answers. "Captain Wilson." He listens, frowning. "What kind of call?" His expression shifts from annoyance to confusion. "From where?" Wilson's face pales slightly. He hangs up. "What is it?" Bennett demands. "Front desk has received calls asking about a General Taylor," Wilson says slowly. "From whom?" Bennett asks. Wilson swallows. "The Pentagon." The room falls silent. Bennett and Wilson exchange glances. "Probably her friends playing games," Bennett dismisses. "Captain, finish processing and—" "Sir," Wilson interrupts. "They mentioned her by name and rank. They knew she was here." Bennett turns to Taylor, reassessing. Morales' eyes widen at the 4 stars on her ID card. "Sir, do you realize who we've arrested?" Bennett silences him with a gesture. "Captain, verify this properly. Now." Wilson exits quickly. Bennett studies Taylor with new caution. "If you are military," Bennett says, "you should understand the importance of security checkpoints." "I understand constitutional rights," Taylor replies, "and selective enforcement." Bennett's political smile returns. "General, if that's what you are, surely we can resolve this misunderstanding amicably." The phone rings again. Wilson answers from outside. His voice carries through the door. "Yes, sir. Yes, she's here. No, sir, I understand, sir." Bennett watches the door with growing concern. Wilson returns, visibly shaken. "That was Colonel Jackson from the Pentagon Military Police. They've confirmed her identity." "Excellent." Bennett recovers quickly. "Then release the general immediately with our apologies for the misunderstanding." "There's more," Wilson says quietly. "They're sending representatives. Here. Now." Bennett's political mask slips. "What representatives?" "A military investigation unit," Wilson says. "They specifically mentioned your checkpoint program, sir." Bennett turns to Taylor. Understanding dawns in his eyes. This wasn't a coincidence, he realizes. Your presence at the checkpoint. Taylor meets his gaze steadily. The station's front desk phone begins to ring. The persistent ringing echoes through the station. Multiple lines now, phones lighting up across desks. Bennett moves to the interrogation room door, closing it firmly. His political composure cracks further. "What exactly is happening here?" he demands. Taylor remains silent. Her mission doesn't require explanation. Wilson's radio crackles. "Captain, we have multiple incoming calls. Pentagon, DOJ, Governor's Office." "Handle it," Bennett snaps. "Sir," Wilson responds, "they're specifically asking about General Taylor." Morales watches this exchange with growing awareness. He moves closer to Taylor. "Would you like those handcuffs removed, General?" he asks quietly. Bennett glares at him. "Detective, step back." "Sir, she's been confirmed as a military general," Morales argues. "Continuing to detain her is my decision," Bennett interrupts. He points at Taylor. "Whatever game you're playing ends now." Taylor finally speaks. "This isn't a game, Councilman. It's an investigation." "Investigation?" Bennett laughs, but uncertainty edges his voice. "Into what?" "Systematic civil rights violations through discriminatory checkpoint practices," Taylor states. "Targeting minority neighborhoods, violating Fourth Amendment protections, implementing quotas based on race and district." Bennett's face hardens. "Ridiculous accusations." "Documented accusations," Taylor corrects. Wilson's radio crackles again. "Captain, military vehicles approaching the station." Bennett's political calculation visibly shifts to self-preservation. He turns to Wilson. "Release her, now. Claim miscommunication. Blame the officers who made the arrest." Wilson hesitates. "Sir, Harris followed your checkpoint protocols exactly." "Then blame the protocols," Bennett hisses. "Just contain this." Morales steps forward, removing a small key from his pocket. He unlocks Taylor's handcuffs. "My apologies, General," he says formally. Bennett watches this with growing alarm. "Detective, prepare the necessary paperwork for the General's immediate release." Morales nods but makes no move to leave. "Now, Detective," Bennett insists. "In a moment, sir." Morales turns to Taylor. "General, may I ask what happens next?" Taylor rubs her wrists where the cuffs bit into her skin. "Justice happens next, Detective Morales." Bennett laughs nervously. "A simple misunderstanding doesn't require such dramatics." 6 months of documented civil rights violations isn't a misunderstanding, Taylor replies. Morales looks between them. 6 months? Taylor nods. The Pentagon has been monitoring Greenfield's checkpoint program since its implementation, gathering evidence, building a case. She checks her watch. And now that case is complete. Wilson's radio crackles once more. "Captain, 3 black SUVs have entered the parking lot, military personnel disembarking." Bennett moves to the door. "I need to make some calls." "Your calls won't help, Councilman," Taylor says. "This investigation has federal oversight." Bennett's hand freezes on the doorknob. The political mask shatters completely. Morales steps closer to Taylor. He discreetly slides a USB drive across the table. "Internal Affairs has been looking into the checkpoint program," he whispers, "but we kept hitting roadblocks. Administrative obstruction." "Evidence of direct interference?" Taylor asks quietly. Morales nods. "Everything I could gather. Checkpoint locations, arrest demographics, internal communications." "It's time, General," he whispers. The interrogation room door swings open. A military officer in full dress uniform enters, followed by 2 MPs. The Silver Eagle insignia identifies him as Colonel Jackson. Colonel Jackson surveys the room, his gaze stopping on Taylor. "General Taylor," he salutes crisply. "Colonel," Taylor returns the salute. "Thank you for the prompt response." "Of course, ma'am." Jackson turns to the others. "I'm Colonel Jackson, Pentagon Investigative Services. These are my associates." Bennett steps forward, political smile reinstated. Councilman Edward Bennett, Greenfield City Council. This has been an unfortunate misunderstanding. Sir, Jackson interrupts, please remain in the station. My team will have questions for you shortly. Bennett's smile falters. Questions? I assure you, I had no knowledge of the general's improper detention. Noted, Jackson says without inflection. He turns to Wilson. Captain, secure this room for the general's use. We'll need your main conference room for our team. Wilson hesitates. Colonel, this is a police station. You don't have jurisdiction. I have direct authorization from the Secretary of Defense. Jackson cuts him off. Your cooperation is not optional. The station fills with activity. Military personnel set up equipment in the conference room. Computer specialists access the station's systems. Evidence collection teams secure records. Bennett watches with growing alarm. This response seems excessive for a simple detention issue. Taylor stands, straightening her civilian clothes. This isn't about my detention, Councilman. It's about what my detention represents. She turns to Colonel Jackson. Status report? Teams deployed as ordered, General. Evidence preservation protocols in effect. Pentagon liaison briefing the governor now. Bennett attempts to leave. Two MPs politely but firmly direct him back. This is outrageous, he protests. I have rights. Yes, Taylor agrees. Everyone does. That's precisely the point. Taylor and Jackson move to the conference room, now transformed into a command center. Digital displays show checkpoint locations throughout Greenfield, all strategically positioned between Westfield Heights and wealthy neighborhoods. Morales follows, carrying case files. General, I've brought the internal documentation you requested. Thank you, Detective, Taylor says. Your assistance is invaluable. Bennett and Wilson are escorted in, directed to seats away from each other. Harris joins them, confusion evident on his face. Taylor stands at the head of the table. The room falls silent. Gentlemen, she begins. 6 months ago, the Pentagon received multiple complaints about a police checkpoint program targeting minority neighborhoods in Greenfield. Initial review suggested Fourth Amendment violations. Further investigation revealed something more disturbing. She activates the main display. A map appears showing checkpoint arrest statistics. Red dots cluster exclusively in minority neighborhoods. Selective enforcement, Taylor continues. Checkpoint stops resulting in searches. 89% minority drivers. Arrests from those stops, 94% minority citizens. Wilson shifts uncomfortably. Crime statistics justify deployment. Traffic violations occur at equal rates across demographics, Taylor interrupts. Yet your checkpoint program produced these results. She changes the display. Internal police emails appear. Captain Wilson, this is your message to officers dated March 12th. Focus on vehicles from Westfield Heights. Higher yield for arrests. Wilson pales. That's taken out of context. Context is provided by your arrest quotas, Taylor replies, displaying another document, specifically targeting Westfield Heights residents. Bennett interrupts. General, these operational details were handled by the police department. As councilman, I merely approved the program concept. Taylor turns to him. Is that so? She nods to Colonel Jackson, who displays a new document. Bennett's signature appears at the bottom of detailed checkpoint operating procedures. This directive specifies targeting specific neighborhoods, Taylor notes. Your signature authorizes racial profiling, Councilman. Bennett's political facade cracks completely. This is a witch hunt. This is accountability, Taylor corrects. She turns to Morales. Detective, please share what you found during your internal investigation. Morales steps forward. 6 months ago, I noticed troubling patterns in checkpoint arrests. When I raised concerns through proper channels, I was reassigned. I continued documenting discrepancies. He opens his file. Checkpoint officers were instructed to use different standards based on drivers' race and residence. Westfield Heights vehicles received heightened scrutiny regardless of driving behavior. Wilson interrupts. That's not... Your body cam footage contradicts you, Captain, Taylor says. She plays a video. Wilson appears, instructing officers before a checkpoint deployment. Remember, Westfield cars get the full treatment. Make the stop stick. Bennett stands abruptly. I need to contact my attorney. You'll have that opportunity, Taylor assures him, after we complete this interview. She slides a folder across the table. These are just from the last 6 months. Captain Wilson's face drains of color as he opens the file. The investigation continues into the night. Military personnel process evidence. Technical teams analyze department servers. Legal advisors document violations. In a quiet corner of the conference room, Taylor finds Morales reviewing files. Detective, she says, joining him, your assistance has been crucial. Morales looks up, exhaustion etched on his face. I should have done more, sooner. You did what you could within a corrupt system, Taylor says. That takes courage. Morales closes the file. When I transferred to Greenfield, I had no idea. The checkpoint program was already established, presented as innovative community policing. When did you realize the truth? Taylor asks. Morales hesitates, pain flashing across his features. 3 months ago, he finally says. My brother came to visit. He was stopped at a checkpoint, detained for hours. No charges, just intimidation. He stares at his hands. He's a pediatric surgeon. Drives a nice car. But they only saw a black man in the wrong neighborhood, Taylor finishes. Morales nods. I filed complaints, used proper channels, evidence disappeared, witnesses changed statements. The system protected itself. That's why I'm here, Taylor says. Sometimes the system needs external pressure to change. Why you specifically? Morales asks. Why did the Pentagon send a 4-star general for a local police investigation? Because some issues transcend jurisdiction, Taylor explains. Civil rights violations impact national security, erode public trust, undermine the Constitution we're all sworn to protect. Morales absorbs this. What happens to the officers? To Bennett? Justice, Taylor says simply. Due process. The same rights they denied others. And the people they wrongfully arrested, the lives they damaged? Part of the remedy includes case reviews, expungements, compensation. Taylor meets his eyes. Your brother's case will be among them. Morales wipes his eyes quickly. This isn't just about today, is it, General? No, she answers. It's about every day before this and every day that comes after. Morales straightens, professional composure returning. What's our next step? Evidence compilation, Taylor says. Your testimony will be crucial before the federal grand jury. I'm ready, Morales affirms. For the first time since her arrest, Taylor smiles. I know. Dawn breaks over Greenfield Police Station. The parking lot fills with government vehicles. FBI agents join military investigators. Justice Department attorneys arrive with subpoenas. Inside the conference room, the atmosphere shifts from investigation to prosecution. Evidence boards cover the walls. Computer screens display data analyses. Legal teams prepare documents. Captain Wilson sits alone, separated from his officers. Bennett's attorney arrived hours ago, whispering urgent advice ignored by his client. Colonel Jackson enters with a new team. General, the Secretary of Defense sends his regards. The investigation has been elevated to Joint Task Force status. Taylor nods. Excellent. Let's proceed with the full briefing. The room fills with senior officials, military, federal, state. The governor's representative sits near the Attorney General's deputy. Taylor takes position at the head of the table. The room falls silent. Ladies and gentlemen, she begins. What started as a civil rights monitoring operation has revealed systematic constitutional violations and abuse of power. Today, I present comprehensive evidence in 3 categories: visual documentation, audio recordings, and written records. She activates the main display. First, visual evidence. Dashcam footage appears. A vehicle from Westfield Heights stopped at a checkpoint. The driver professional. Polite is ordered from the car without cause. Search conducted without consent. When he questions the legality, he's arrested for obstruction. This pattern repeats across hundreds of documented stops, Taylor explains. She shows split-screen footage. White drivers pass through checkpoints with cursory checks. Black drivers from Westfield Heights face extended detentions, searches, and frequent arrests. Checkpoint camera systems captured clear racial disparities in enforcement, Taylor continues. White drivers were stopped at 8% frequency, black drivers at 82%. Bennett interrupts. Selective editing can create false patterns. These are your department's unaltered recordings, Councilman, Taylor replies. Complete timestamps intact. She displays a heat map of checkpoint placements. Checkpoints were exclusively positioned to intercept residents leaving minority neighborhoods, particularly Westfield Heights. Wilson shifts uncomfortably. Strategic deployment based on traffic patterns. Was contradicted by your own traffic study, Taylor interrupts, displaying the document, which recommended different locations entirely. She moves to a new screen. Second category, audio evidence. Taylor activates an audio file. Wilson's voice fills the room. Councilman wants more arrests from Westfield. Make it happen. Officer Harris responds, even without cause? Wilson. Find cause. Broken tail light. Failure to signal. Get them out of the car, you'll find something. Bennett stands. That recording could be anyone. Voice pattern analysis confirms Captain Wilson and Officer Harris, Taylor replies. Recorded during official briefings. She plays another recording. Bennett's voice now. The checkpoint program serves two purposes. Public safety is what we tell the press. Property values is why we're really doing it. Keep the element where it belongs, in Westfield, not in our neighborhoods. Bennett sinks back into his chair. My military-grade watch recorded our entire interaction last night, Taylor explains, including unguarded comments when you thought I couldn't hear. The federal officials exchange glances. The evidence mounts beyond dispute. Finally, Taylor continues, documentary evidence. The screen displays internal emails, text messages, and official memoranda. Wilson to officers. Use checkpoint quota system as discussed. Bennett wants numbers up in Westfield demographic. Department statistics appear. Arrest rates by race. Search rates by neighborhood. Conviction outcomes by demographic. The data reveals unmistakable discriminatory patterns, Taylor explains. Checkpoint stops led to arrests for black drivers at 7 times the rate of white drivers, for identical violations. She displays arrest reports side by side. Same violation, different races, different outcomes. But the most damning evidence comes from the program's origin, Taylor says. She reveals city planning documents, property developer communications with Bennett, financial records. Councilman Bennett received substantial contributions from developers looking to revitalize Westfield Heights, Taylor explains. Their development strategy required displacing current residents. The documents tell the story. Checkpoint harassment designed to pressure Westfield residents to leave. Property values driven down. Developers positioned to purchase at depressed prices. Civil rights violations driven by financial motivation, Taylor concludes. Bennett's attorney whispers urgently in his ear. Bennett ignores him. This is fabricated, Bennett insists. A politically motivated attack. The evidence speaks for itself, Taylor replies. And now the final piece. She nods to Morales, who connects his USB drive to the system. Detective Morales conducted his own internal investigation, Taylor explains, documenting checkpoint operations from within. Morales stands. I collected evidence of quotas targeting specific neighborhoods, documented systematic civil rights violations, recorded instructions to ignore constitutional protections. His files appear on screen. Officer performance reviews tied to Westfield Heights arrest numbers, checkpoint schedules targeting black churches, community centers, and businesses. Most critically, Morales continues, I discovered that complaints about checkpoint practices were systematically buried. He displays the evidence. Complaint forms marked resolved without investigation. Witness statements altered. Video evidence deleted. When residents attempted to use proper channels for redress, Morales explains, the system was designed to silence them. The room falls silent as officials review the overwhelming evidence. This operation wasn't about my personal detention, Taylor explains. I volunteered to test the system directly after months of intelligence gathering. My experience matched exactly what our investigation predicted. She turns to Bennett. Your checkpoint program violated the Fourth Amendment, targeted citizens by race, obstructed justice when challenged. The Justice Department official stands. We've seen enough. This evidence supports federal civil rights charges. Bennett looks around desperately. This is a misunderstanding. The program had legitimate public safety goals. The evidence contradicts that claim, Taylor responds. Bennett attempts one last defense. General Taylor intentionally provoked officers, created this situation. Entrapment. I simply drove through a public checkpoint, Taylor replies calmly. My rights were violated because of who I am and where I live, exactly like hundreds of other citizens. She displays the final document. This is the classified Pentagon investigation authorization signed by the Secretary of Defense. Launched after multiple military personnel reported discriminatory treatment at your checkpoints. The reality of his situation finally hits Bennett. He turns to his attorney in panic. The investigation is complete, Taylor announces. Federal prosecutors will now determine specific charges. The Pentagon investigator connects the final laptop to the projector. This evidence goes back 3 years. FBI agents approach Wilson, Harris, and other implicated officers. Justice Department officials surround Bennett. Edward Bennett, you're under federal investigation for civil rights violations, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice, the lead federal prosecutor announces. Bennett stands abruptly. I need to make a statement to the press. Control the narrative. He moves toward the door. Military police stand ready. Councilman Bennett attempts to leave through the back door where military police wait. 1 week later, Capitol Hill. A congressional hearing room fills with observers, press, and officials. General Victoria Taylor sits at the witness table in full dress uniform. 4 stars gleam on her shoulders. Medals and ribbons testify to decades of service. The committee chairperson calls the session to order. This hearing on civil rights enforcement in local policing will now begin. General Taylor, thank you for your testimony today. Taylor adjusts her microphone. Thank you for the opportunity to address this committee. Please summarize the Pentagon's investigation into the Greenfield Checkpoint program, the chairperson requests. 6 months ago, the Department of Defense received multiple complaints from military personnel subjected to discriminatory treatment at police checkpoints in Greenfield, Taylor begins. Initial investigation revealed a pattern of constitutional violations specifically targeting minority neighborhoods. She presents the evidence methodically. The discriminatory checkpoint placements. The racial disparities in enforcement. The financial motivations behind the program. Our investigation confirmed systematic Fourth Amendment violations, Taylor continues. Citizens were detained, searched, and arrested without probable cause. When they attempted to assert their rights, they faced increased charges. A committee member interrupts. Why did this require Pentagon involvement rather than Justice Department? The initial complaints came from military personnel, Taylor explains. However, we quickly discovered that civilians faced identical treatment. We coordinated with Justice Department officials to ensure comprehensive investigation. Taylor displays the checkpoint map. The program strategically isolated the predominantly black community of Westfield Heights. Residents faced constant harassment when traveling to work, school, or shopping. The evidence unfolds on screen. Arrest statistics by race. Search rates by neighborhood. Conviction patterns showing clear discrimination. Most concerning, Taylor continues, was that the program operated with explicit city approval. Councilman Bennett personally directed police to target specific demographics. Another committee member leans forward. And the current status of those involved? Councilman Bennett faces federal civil rights charges, Taylor reports. Captain Wilson and 5 officers have been indicted. The checkpoint program has been permanently terminated. She pauses, then adds, most importantly, all convictions stemming from unconstitutional checkpoints are under review for expungement. The chairperson nods. General, your decision to personally test the checkpoint system was unconventional. What motivated this approach? Sometimes systems only reveal their true nature through direct experience, Taylor explains. As a black woman and a military officer, I was uniquely positioned to document the disparity between how citizens should be treated and how they were actually treated. A supportive committee member speaks. I'd like to recognize Detective David Morales, whose internal investigation provided crucial evidence. Detective, please stand. Morales rises from the audience. The room applauds his courage. Detective Morales risked his career to document these violations, Taylor acknowledges. His ethical commitment represents the best of law enforcement. The chairperson turns serious. What changes do you recommend to prevent similar abuses nationwide? First, independent oversight of checkpoint operations, Taylor suggests. Second, mandatory data collection on stops by demographic. Third, clear consequences for departments showing discriminatory patterns. She looks directly at the committee. Most importantly, we must recognize that constitutional rights aren't optional. They don't depend on race, neighborhood, or economic status. The hearing continues with questions and testimony. Taylor provides detailed responses, always returning to the core principle, equal protection under law. As the session concludes, the chairperson makes an announcement. Based on this investigation, we're introducing legislation establishing federal standards for checkpoint operations. The Equitable Enforcement Act will require transparency, accountability, and constitutional compliance. Outside the hearing room, Taylor meets with Morales. The committee was impressed with your evidence, she tells him. The FBI has offered you a position with their Civil Rights Division. Morales smiles. I've accepted. Change sometimes requires working from the inside. And your brother? Taylor asks. His record has been expunged, Morales confirms. He's helping organize the class action lawsuit for other checkpoint victims. Taylor nods approvingly. Justice works slowly, but it does work. When good people insist upon it, Morales adds. 2 months later, a community center in Westfield Heights. Residents gather for a town hall meeting with their new police chief. Taylor, now in civilian clothes, sits quietly in the back. She watches as Morales, no longer a detective but a community liaison, facilitates dialogue between residents and police. The new chief announces reformed policies, body cameras always activated, stop data publicly available, community oversight board with real authority. After the meeting, an elderly resident approaches Taylor. You're the general, aren't you? The one who brought down those checkpoints? Taylor smiles. I just helped expose the truth. You did more than that, the woman says. My grandson was arrested at one of those checkpoints, lost his scholarship because of it. Now his record's cleared and he's back in college. I'm glad to hear that, Taylor responds. One thing I don't understand, the woman continues. You're a general. You could have used your rank from the beginning. Why go through the arrest? Because most people can't use rank or privilege to protect their rights, Taylor explains. The system should work equally for everyone, not just those with status. The woman nods thoughtfully. My grandson wants to be a lawyer now, says somebody needs to know the law to protect the community. He's right, Taylor agrees. Knowing your rights is the first step to defending them. Outside, Morales waits to drive Taylor to the airport. Returning to the Pentagon? He asks. Yes, Taylor confirms. But our civil rights oversight won't end with Greenfield. This case established a template for identifying similar patterns nationwide. The checkpoint is gone, Morales observes as they drive past its former location. But the work continues. Taylor looks out at the community families walking freely, residents no longer afraid of arbitrary enforcement. This is what security actually looks like, she says. Not checkpoints and harassment, just people living their lives with dignity and equal protection under the law. The committee chairman gavels the session closed. This hearing is concluded, but our work has just begun. General Taylor steps into the sunlight outside the Capitol building. 6 months later, Pentagon conference room. General Taylor stands before a wall of monitors displaying checkpoint data from cities nationwide. Colonel Jackson enters with fresh reports. Implementation of the new oversight protocols is proceeding as scheduled, General. 17 departments have voluntarily reformed checkpoint practices. And the resistors? Taylor asks. Justice Department has opened investigations into 9 jurisdictions showing similar patterns to Greenfield. Taylor studies the data. Red flags highlight familiar patterns. Checkpoints concentrated around minority neighborhoods. Disparate enforcement statistics. Complaint suppression. The Greenfield model is proving effective, Jackson notes, identifying indicators of systemic discrimination before they become entrenched. Taylor nods. And our military personnel reports? Down 63%, Jackson confirms. The warning system works. Service members report potential civil rights issues directly to our office now. Taylor's secure phone chimes. A text from Morales. Bennett sentenced today, 5 years federal, restitution ordered for checkpoint victims. Justice, delayed but delivered. Her assistant enters. General, your next appointment is here. A young black woman in Air Force uniform enters. Lieutenant Jasmine Williams, recently detained at a checkpoint outside Maxwell Air Force Base. Lieutenant, Taylor greets her. Thank you for reporting your experience. General. Williams salutes crisply. I wasn't sure if it warranted attention until I heard about your Greenfield operation. Every data point matters, Taylor assures her. Your report matches others from that jurisdiction. Williams straightens. What happens now, ma'am? Now, Taylor explains, we follow the evidence, document the pattern, ensure constitutional protections apply equally to everyone. She moves to the window, looking out at the Pentagon courtyard where service members from all backgrounds serve a common mission. The uniform doesn't protect us from discrimination, Taylor tells Williams, but it does give us the responsibility to uphold the Constitution for ourselves and for every citizen. Williams nods in understanding. That's why I reported it, not just for me. Exactly, Taylor agrees. Systems only change when good people recognize injustice and take action. She returns to the data displays, to the work that continues. No checkpoints, Taylor says. No double standards. Just equal justice under law. The map of America glows on the screen before her. Each indicator represents work to be done. Communities waiting for fairness, rights requiring protection. General Taylor gets back to work. Did that story grab your attention? Hit that like button right now to support more hard-hitting justice thrillers like this one. PAP Stories delivers powerful voice-only narratives that keep you engaged, whether you're commuting, working out, or just relaxing. Our signature storytelling style brings you into intense moments of injustice and the satisfying path to accountability. Subscribe to never miss our weekly uploads featuring gripping justice thrillers, stories of ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges, powerful narratives with unexpected twists, premium voice-only content, perfect for multitasking. Turn on notifications, so you'll know immediately when we drop our next story. Your support helps us create more content that matters. PAP Stories. Justice speaks volumes.